Welcome to Glow for Hope, sparking conversation on mental health, where we spark honest conversations about mental health, mental wellness, and hope. Every episode, we're breaking down barriers, sharing real stories, and opening up the dialogue about mental health. Because the first step toward change is simply starting the conversation. Whether you're here to listen, learn, or find connection in your own journey, you're in the right place. Let's talk about it. Let's spark change. This is Glow for Hope. All right, welcome back to Glow for Hope, sparking conversation on mental health. I'm your host, Kelly Pelker.
And I'm Delisa Richardson. And if this is your first time tuning in, we are really glad that you're here.
This is the space where we spark conversations, create community, and ignite hope around mental health and suicide prevention. We want these conversations to feel real, human, and a whole lot less isolating.
And sometimes that means learning something new. Sometimes it means challenging stigmas, and sometimes it means just remembering that you don't have to walk through the hard times alone.
Which brings us to today's guest, someone who embodies support and connection every day in her work. We're talking with Linda Schuh, the Director of Psychological Health for the 126th Air Refueling Wing at Scott Air Force Base.
Linda's background is truly incredible. She served 20 years in the military, including 5 on active duty as an Army military police officer and 15 years with the Illinois Army National Guard. Now, after her service, she earned a Master's of Social Work from SIUE and Washington University in St. Louis. And for the past 20 years, she's been a licensed clinical social worker, supporting people across school settings, clinical settings, community mental health, private practice, and now the Air Force.
She also comes from a family dedicated to service. She's married with 3 children, and 2 of them are currently serving in the Navy.
Oh, how about that? And hey, we cannot forget her newest teammate, Gator. Gator is a professionally trained therapy dog from Dogs Inc. He's disciplined, loving, incredibly intuitive, and plays a huge role in making mental health support more approachable on base. And he is simply the cutest.
He is. It's like we actually have him in studio, and it's our first dog.
He's adorable.
Love it, love it. We're also going to talk about the upcoming Mental Health Day on base, what it offers, why it matters, how events like this help break stigma in military communities.
Linda, we are really happy for you to be here, so we're just going to jump on in.
Okay, sounds good. I'm glad to be here.
So for our listeners who may not know what a director of psychological health does, can you share what your role looks like day to day?
Yes. So, like they were saying, I am a licensed clinical social worker. I'm a civilian. I work for the 126th Air Refueling Wing, and I work Monday through Friday and on drill weekends. And basically, we come in. I have an office in the medical building on base, and we come in. We greet the medical personnel in the offices. Of course, they all have to say hi to Gator. And then we come in, we check our email, we get our coffee or tea or whatever we're doing, and then we go about our day. Usually my day, looks like I have maybe 3 or 4 counseling sessions per day. I also do suicide prevention for the wing. I provide the PowerPoint presentation. I facilitate that. We also do resiliency training throughout the wing. I usually set that up. I either do the trainings or have somebody come in to do the trainings. So a lot with suicide prevention, a lot with violence prevention, and again, just doing counseling, consultations with commanders, referrals. If I can't help them, then I find somebody that can.
So is that like basically anytime someone is there, because you mentioned drill also, so those are for the National Guard folks, is that right? How does the drill work? So they just want to make sure someone is there anytime a service member is there.
Correct. So I worked for the 126th Air Refueling Wing, Air National Guard. So we are kind of like the reserve status. I don't know if there's a difference between reserve status and then National Guard status, but we are part-time. They work part-time for the military. And we have some personnel that work full-time for the military, and then we have some that work just on the weekends once a month. And I support the full-time Air National Guard and then the part-time Air National Guard military members.
So you served 20 years in the military yourself. How does that lived experience shape the way you support airmen now?
Well, I feel like I can understand and relate to the military member. I had been deployed to Desert Storm. I had been in the role of military police person, in the Army, having lived as a military personnel, being deployed, and then having a family while I was in the military and having to move and things like that. So I feel like I understand, how the military works and how you can kind of survive, so to speak, in the military.
That's got to be so stressful, just the moving part all the time. I've lived in this town for a lot of years, most of my life, and just, you learn not to get close to people. They're
Yeah.
going to move in a year or two, and with some exception, obviously, I'm one of those.
Yeah.
But
The moving part is hard because you establish relationships and then you have to leave but I think the 5 years I was in, the personnel that I became friends with or have become, lifelong friends. So I really feel that, those are cherished relationships for me. So yeah, that 20 years and then the 20 years in the Army National Guard was really helpful because not only do you have to have the experience in the Army National Guard during the drill weekends, but then you also have to hold your full-time job, possible deployments, and things like that. So it's a lot to juggle. That's why I really enjoy working with military personnel because they're very resilient and they seem to bounce back from things, very, very quickly. And they're one of my favorite populations to work with.
Well, we have to talk about Gator and how he became part of your work.
Yes, Gator. So Gator came to us back in, January of 2025. And basically, Gator's actual duty, he's a facility therapy dog. And we had interest, the wing had interest in getting a therapy dog, and so did I. So we filled out the application for Gator, and then we were awarded Gator as the facility therapy dog. So they donated Gator to our wing. So he was free of charge. He came to us trained. He's trained in obedience, basic obedience training. He'll comfort you if you start crying. He'll comfort you if you look sad. He'll just kind of comfort you whenever, and he's just a joy to be around. And we visit the units pretty regularly, and he certainly has. A lot of people love him, and he's got a few favorites around too. So, but he's very much loved in the 126.
I bet. And so a therapy dog is different than an emotional support dog.
Yes. So Gator is trained to be a facility therapy dog. So an actual therapy dog or service dog is a little bit different. A service dog is actually for the person. Maybe a person has PTSD or depression or anxiety. Then that dog is actually trained to support that person. And then there are emotional support dogs that are trained. They're different. They go to large events and different things. And Gator's trained to attend large events and things like that too. So, but the emotional support dog is more, they're probably more well-rounded than, he's more just for the facilities, because the facility dogs can support like police stations, the first responders, things like that. So they're for the those types of services in military.
So with Gator, and all the things that you've been through with him, was there ever just a moment where you were thinking, yeah, we really needed him. This is what he was meant to do?
Yes, I would say, with the 3 to 4 counseling sessions we do daily, there's just been, I've had people come in and Gator would see them or know them and just sort of run to them. And then they would just sort of say, oh, he knew I needed that today. He knew I needed that love and that comfort and that support. And again, just to see their faces light up when they see Gator, when they pet him, how loving he is. Yeah, he's definitely in the right place.
Oh, that's amazing. It really seems like he can come in and kind of disarm, folks when maybe their, guard is up and they're just having a really bad day.
Yes, definitely. Most definitely. He's very supportive, and he just kind of knows when the right time is to kind of comfort you. He likes to kind of lean in on people and press his body into you. And of course, we make sure that everybody's okay with him first, of course, because we do have a few people that don't care for dogs or don't like dogs. Not everybody's a dog person, but he does a real good job at loving on people.
So when we talk about mental health in the military community specifically, what are some of the more common pressures, or struggles that you see among your military members?
I would say that, so for the Air National Guard, we have personnel that are not only doing drill weekends, but they're working full-time jobs. So they have to keep up their training for the weekends and then work their full-time job. So I think, sometimes they end up working, 14 to 16 days in a row without a break. So I think that can be a struggle. Other pressures are deployments when they have to go, on deployment, and things like that. And just, I think it's a lot to be in the military. You have a weight standard, you have physical standards, you have to pass a physical fitness test, you have to have training completed, you have to have your evaluations, you have to get promoted, so there's a lot of struggles, a lot of things that happen in a person that, is in the military that they have to think about. So I think those are some of the things they have to think about and some of the struggles.
I would imagine so. I have a family member in the military, and I was just thinking about the time that he had been told that he was going to be deployed and everything that he was trying to set up so that my niece would be okay before he left. That's a lot too. If you have family and kids that, you're leaving when you're deployed, there's things that you have to get straight before you leave. I can imagine that would be extremely stressful.
Oh, yeah, we have a whole program set up for personnel that are deploying so they can get their ducks in a row with their family, with their legal affairs, financial affairs. And then we have a program called Yellow Ribbon that when they come back, it's for the families to know about all the services that are involved, all the things the benefits that they have. And then again, there's just, struggles in the military as we have deployments. Some people are going through traumatic experiences, and we do have sometimes, people have post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, anxiety as a result of deployments. Some people just have that as a result of life too, not just military personnel.
Right. Plus you add on the military factor to it. So.
Yes. Plus you add on the military factor. So those are also some of the struggles that military personnel have.
Is it unique for the 126th Air Refueling Wing to have a person such as yourself there, or is it standard across, all the various commands to have a director of psychological health?
Yes, so there is approximately, I think there's 100 or so of myself across the U.S. at each Air National Guard base across the U.S. Everybody has a director of psychological health. that is a licensed clinical social worker. That is required by the Air National Guard.
That's good. That's great.
That
Great to
is.
hear. So do you think the majority of people that need it take advantage of it?
It just depends. I've been in the job for 10 years. There's certainly a stigma with mental health. There's certainly a stigma with mental health in the military. I feel like some people don't, want to come to the services, the military mental health services, because they're afraid of, what might happen. They may not be fit for duty. They might, they're afraid of losing their job, because you have to be fit for duty to, be in the military. But what we like to tell people is that, come talk to us and let us have a conversation with you. If it's work stress, marital stress, just everyday stress, we can certainly help you with that. If you're not comfortable talking with us, we can find out, a referral for you to go out and see someone else. We have, military personnel have a lot of free resources. Military One Source, Military and Family Life Counselors on the base. The Vet Center is a very good resource, free resource as well. Counseling with me is free as well. But yeah, I think some people there's still a stigma out there, and it keeps people from getting help. Definitely.
If we only had the magic formula for breaking down that stigma.
Right. Well, that's why we're doing this, and having you on to just spread the word that we can get more people to realize, hey, it is okay not to be okay, and just go talk to someone. And hopefully some of the VFWs have things in place as well to kind of help break that stigma. Have you found working with do you work with any of the VFW halls around?
We do. I believe we have a relationship with the O'Fallon VFW. Whatever services they offer, events that they have, we try to support them. They do help us out sometimes when I think through Thanksgiving we're doing baskets for needy families. I think the VFW gave us some monies for that and support of that. So they try to support our events as well, and we do theirs as well.
That's great. What do you wish more people understood about seeking the help that you offer on base?
I just think that, it's a really hard thing to go talk to somebody you don't even know about your most personal thoughts, ideas, or situations. And it's a really hard thing, and a lot of people have trouble with that. But I think that the person that asks for help is the most courageous one, the one with the most courage, because it takes a lot to ask for help. And again, like I said, if it's just starting a conversation, I don't have to be your counselor. I can give you a referral. We can look at your insurance. We can find out who else can help you. They don't have to come and talk with me. But again, it's just having that courage to come out and talk with someone, which is really hard. But I think that most of the time when people come out, they kind of think, oh, well, that wasn't so bad, or, oh, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And maybe it was really helpful, or you could be like, yeah, okay, I'm not doing that again, or maybe going to someone else who, hopefully not, that is not the case. But I think it's just for each individual, because we also can reach out to family members and friends and talk with people. But talking to a professional, I think, is a really good thing, because we're trained in doing the assessments and the counseling and the therapy. So
Right. And
Yeah.
you can sometimes catch something while it's small, maybe, a stressor, before it becomes a full blown issue.
correct. Correct.
So starting that early is a great idea. Now you have a mental health day coming up. Can you tell us about Mental Health Day and what inspired it and what people can expect?
Yeah, so we have a mental health day every year. We're having one coming up in June 6th of 2026. And it's just our way of saying, hey, it's okay to not be okay. And then, telling people what the resources are out there. I believe we're going to have a yoga teacher coming out to teach yoga. I'm working on getting the equine therapy, the horses to come out and
Can't wait for that.
Awesome.
meet with the military members. We have push-up and plank competitions. We have a meditation tent. And I think if the weather suits us this year, we'll have a cold plunge event as well. That's supposed to really be good for your mental health and really give you a boost in energy. There's a lot of research on it. So some of those things we're looking forward to.
And Glow for Hope will be there.
And Glow for Hope will be there. Yes, yes.
We're going to have a little cornhole competition going.
Yes, definitely looking forward to that. Yeah. So yeah, just to raise awareness about suicide prevention, raise awareness about mental health, and the resources that are out there and in the community.
So you've
what
got
we're shooting for.
everything from Zen to your animal lovers to your competition-based people when you're going to win the plank competition to us during cornhole. It's going to be something for everybody.
It'll be fun, yeah. And then we'll provide lunch. Wounded Warrior program will help us provide lunch and snacks as well. So it'll be a great time for the 126.
And what do you hope people walk away with that come to the event? If there was like one or two things you would hope people could walk away with.
Well, the atmosphere, the environment we're going to have it in is at the campground on the base, and there's two lakes, so it's a very relaxing, serene environment. So it's going to be a mile walk around the camp base, and then we'll have each station set up around the walking area. So if everybody can come out and do their exercise. And then just learn more about mental health activities and things that are out there in the community. And again, just knowing that you're not alone and knowing that other people are out there.
Community is everything.
Yeah, other people are out there struggling as well, and that we're definitely not alone.
So backing up a little bit, in the beginning you talked about, like what you do during the day and stuff. And you mentioned like resilience training, and what can you tell us any more about specifically what that kind of training includes?
We've got so we have a slot on drill weekends. Normally we have it on Sundays between 1 and 2:30, and so we've had on Suicide Prevention Month we had a Hope and Healing presentation where people came and talked about their stories, their hope and perseverance and process of getting well. We've had, I do stress management training. We have our chaplain come out and do spiritual wellness, things like that. We've had presentations on domestic violence and personnel coming out and talking about their stories. We've got the mental health day. Trying to think, I've done some trainings on meditation, mindfulness, coping with depression, coping with anxiety, and we've had some just keynote speakers come out and talk about wellness, and just motivational speakers come out and talk to the military personnel as well.
Mm-hmm. So what's your biggest tip on stress management?
For stress management, I think, just getting enough rest. Rest is so essential to our bodies, to our mental health and our physical health. So if you can get between, the 6 to 7 hours a night, I think that's really good for stress. And And just kind of having that, that personality that, just sometimes we have to let things go and sometimes we can't hold on to them. And just being able to let things go,
That's a
being
hard
able
one.
to
Very hard one.
let things not bother us, being able to exercise during the day to relieve nervous tension, and just being able to relax, come home, make our dinner, clean the dishes, do whatever we have to do and relax and do what we need to do. But I know that's not always the case.
But I have 3 kids running around, and each one has a different soccer practice at a different point.
Oh, yeah. I'm in a different phase of life. I'm at the empty nest phase, so I kind of have amnesia about that other part of my life.
Blocked it out.
I'm blocking it out at this point, yeah. But yeah, I think sleep, exercise, just trying to not let things bother you. Meditation, relaxation is very good. And then just talking to a friend.
For meditation.
Say again?
It's always so hard to quiet the mind for meditation.
It is.
I use the brain tap device, and I love it because it helps me quiet my mind, so then I can,
So then you can
get the benefits of it. But
yeah, because it's like mind body. When your mind is going, when my mind is going like 100 miles an hour, I notice that my shoulders tend to be up at my ears the majority of the day. And so it really takes time for me to take that deep breath. I notice when I do get into my meditation, I can take that deep breath, and then I realize that I can lower my shoulders, that I've been tensing up the entire time, and I can just kind of relax that because it's so much that it just goes together. Mind
Right.
goes together.
I think for that, progressive muscle relaxation is really good. Tensing up the muscles and then relaxing them. Each muscle, like your hands, your elbows, your neck, tensing them up and then relaxing them and going through each muscle in the body and doing that, I think is really good. I like to use guided imagery, and so it's sort of telling a story to the person that's going through the meditation, so that they can kind of focus on the story rather than the stress that they're going through, or what they're having for dinner that night, or what they have to do that night. So I like to use guided meditations with a lot of my clients.
So you also mentioned resilience training. How do you teach someone resilience?
Well, it's really kind of it's all based in the the violence prevention, the prevention, the preventative classes, and resiliency is bouncing back from adversity. So I feel like, again, as a military member, there's so many things that happen, so many adversities that they go through, and we go through as people as well. And just learning to kind of bounce back and go throughout your day. And sometimes it's not easy. Sometimes things happen and they really throw us for a loop, and we really have a hard time. But just, I think, letting people know that we're there for them, to talk with them or to give them referrals or the resources helps resiliency. Letting people know that they're not alone helps resiliency. And teaching healthy lifestyles helps resiliency.
So yeah, that sounds like a lot of things that can make a big difference for someone who's struggling. But what advice would you give for families and friends or leaders of a person that's struggling who want to support someone before it gets to a crisis state in their lives?
I would say, if you notice that somebody's not doing well, or if somebody's isolating themselves, or not going to work, not going out with friends, things like that, you want to talk with them and ask them, what's going on? Are you okay? Is there anything that you would like to talk about? And people normally will open up to people that they know, people that they're comfortable with. And I always tell leaders that, don't just say the hellos and be done. Ask the members the military members, how are you? How's the family? How's school? How are you doing with your PT test? How's college? Try to get to know your members. I mean, keep the boundaries, but try to get to know people a little bit, because the more you get to know people, the more comfortable they will be at sharing things when there is a crisis. So I think that, asking the person how they're doing, and again, just kind of going through things. And then sometimes people just want to listen. I think a lot of times when people tell us there's something wrong, we want to solve the problem, or we want to give them advice, or, and sometimes we just need to sit back and listen and say, what can I do? If listening is something I can do, then that's what I'll do. And then always just having some resources in your back pocket. 988 is the crisis line we can call if we do have any thoughts or suicidal thoughts or thoughts of hurting self. There's a licensed counselor on the line 24/7. As far as, other things, it's just, again, just knowing your resources, knowing where to turn, and just listening, I think, is the best key.
I would say, what do you think about, heightening your discernment skills? Because, everyone, when you come in, hey, how are you doing? Fine. Being able to know when that fine is not actually fine.
Yeah.
When there is something behind there. So as you were saying, the more you get to know as leaders, the more they get to know their subordinates and friends and family, the more you're talking, and you really get to know, when someone says that fine, you can look and say, let's go a little bit deeper.
That they're not really fine.
Yeah, that you're not really fine. That's
right.
Just what everyone says. How are you today? Oh, I'm fine.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I think you do have to have a bit of discernment and really, again, just kind of knowing your personnel, and being able to kind of read them a little bit. I mean, not that we can read their minds per se, but watching their behavior, watching what they're due, if they're missing work, if they're talking about, having, drug and alcohol issues or things like that. I mean, just being in tune and kind of watching for those at-risk behaviors, I think, and having that discernment as well.
So as we start to wrap up here, if you could give one message to anyone listening, especially those serving or supporting someone who serves, what would it be?
I would say that you're not alone. I would say that there's other people out there struggling, and I think sometimes we feel like we're the only ones out there that are going through depression, stress, or anxiety. And I just want people to know you're not alone. There's other people out there. There's professionals out there. There's friends and family that can help you. And I just hope that you have the courage to get help when you need it. Definitely.
And your work extends to the kids in the families as well, right? It's not just...
I used to see kids, but now we're only able to see just the adults and then the retired adults from the 126.
Okay. But then you provide resources.
I provide resources for the families and the kids as well. I do that, but I don't do actually counseling with kids anymore. I'm not able to do that.
Okay, great. Well, Linda, thank you so much for spending this time with us and for the work that you're doing every single day. Whether we're talking about the stress of our service members carry, the power of connection, or even the magic of Gator's presence. Every part of this conversation shows how deeply you care for the people that you serve.
And for those of you listening, we hope today reminded you that mental health support doesn't have to look one specific way. There's so many things out there. Sometimes it's a licensed professional. Sometimes it's a adorable therapy dog. Sometimes it's just one honest conversation that opens the door for something bigger.
Yeah, what matters most is knowing that the help exists and that hope exists. And you don't have to wait until things feel overwhelming in order to reach out.
Yes, definitely. And if you're connected to the military community, please, please, please share this episode. You never know who might be carrying something quietly, and they might need to hear this episode, and they might need the support that's available. We just encourage you to share, share, share.
And if you want resources, conversations, or community around mental health and suicide prevention, you can always find us at Glow for Hope. We're here to spark conversation, make these topics feel human, and remind you that you're not alone in any of this.
And we appreciate you for listening to this episode. We appreciate you for showing up for yourself and showing up for the people that you love and care about.
So, Linda, thank you again.
Thank you so much, ladies.
Thank you so much.
And to everyone tuning in, take care of yourselves. We'll see you next time. Until then, keep shining. Thank you for joining us on Glow for Hope. If today's conversation resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Remember, your mental wellness matters, and you are never alone. For more resources and support, visit glowforhopenfp.org. That's glowforhopenfp.org. Stay connected, stay hopeful, and keep the conversation going. Until next time, keep shining.
This podcast does not and is not intended to provide medical advice. The information presented on this podcast should not be interpreted or construed in any way as a replacement or substitution for medical advice. It is important that you discuss your condition, treatment options, or any questions that you may have with your doctor or healthcare provider.